You wake up, and your phone is already overflowing. Texts, messages, notifications, people needing answers, attention, energy. You feel drained, yet you still reply. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to disappoint anyone. So you stay reachable, always available, always responding. And slowly, almost without noticing, you start to disappear. The more you show up for everyone, the less they value your presence. The more available you are, the more they take you for granted. That's the trap, and it's not your fault. It's just human nature. People respect what they can't always have. It's unfair, but it's real. Carl Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And that includes using others as a distraction. When you are always reachable, you become the person they call when they don't want to deal with themselves. You become the escape knot, the person, not the soul, just the option. And when their storm passes, they leave you in your silence, drained, confused, forgotten. This is where so many live, between being needed and being ignored. Wanted in moments of crisis and forgotten in moments of peace. It hurts, but what if you stopped being so easy to reach? What if you stopped explaining yourself all the time? What if you didn't reply instantly? What if your time, space, and energy were no longer up for grabs? Everything changes. You stop attracting chaos and start attracting respect. You stop being the emergency number for people who wouldn't answer for you. You stop feeling like your kindness is being traded for convenience. When you create space, you create clarity. People finally see who you are, not just what you do for them. There's power in being unavailable, not as a game, not as revenge, but to protect your energy. When you stop being easy to reach, you give yourself permission to grow. You have time to think, reflect, rest. You hear your own thoughts again. You stop moving to everyone else's rhythm and start dancing to your own. That's when your life feels different, not louder, not busier, just yours. Most fear silence because it reveals truth. But if you can sit with it long enough, you'll realize not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time or a front row seat to your life. You're not cold for stepping back. You're not rude for saying no. You're not selfish for protecting your peace. You're growing. You're learning. You're becoming stronger. And that means changing how you move, speak, respond, and let others treat you. Always being available makes people forget your value. Stepping back makes them remember it. The most respected people aren't always present. They are intentional, rare, grounded, not pulled in every direction, not owned by a phone, an inbox, or expectations. They are centered. That's why people listen when they speak. That's why their silence speaks louder than words. Being hard to reach isn't disappearing, it's showing up on purpose. It's being where your soul is respected, giving energy to what matters, knowing the difference between being needed and being used, and most importantly, defining yourself not by how often you show up for others, but by how deeply you show up for yourself. Human nature chases. The more someone pulls away, the more others are drawn in. But you don't need to play games. You just honor your energy. When people know they can't reach you every time, They choose their words carefully. They respect your space. They see you as a human with limits, not a tool. That's when everything shifts. You don't need to shout to be heard, post to prove worth, or explain every move to be understood. Your peace is your power. Your silence is your strength. Your distance is your protection. You don't owe everyone access, answers, or constant presence. Some things are sacred, and your energy is one of them. Once you stop being easy to reach, the world treats you differently, and that's when healing begins. If this speaks to something deep inside you, if you've felt tired, used, drained, or forgotten, you need to hear this loud and clear. You are allowed to disappear from the noise to reconnect with your power. Step away to rediscover your peace. Become hard to reach, so you become impossible to replace. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I will protect my energy at all costs. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it. Comment your truth and subscribe. Don't skip any part. What you hear next will change how you think, love, and protect yourself. First, let's talk about the illusion of constant connection. We live in a world where reaching someone is instant. Photos, messages, voice notes, they travel across miles in seconds. We are more reachable than ever. Yet people feel lonelier than ever. Not a coincidence. Being constantly connected doesn't mean being seen or valued. It hides the opposite. How quickly people forget what presence really means. Replying, showing up, always answering, people start to treat you like background noise. Something always there, never earned, always usable, always disposable. That's not connection, it's consumption. Jung said, loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. You can text all day, have hundreds watching your stories, be in crowded chats, and still feel unheard. Constant connection fools you into thinking you're not alone, when no one is actually listening, present, or holding space for your true self. Being easy to reach is painful. People come when bored, sad, or venting, not always with care. They assume you're strong, assume you're available, assume you'll keep giving. You become their comfort in the storm. But when skies clear, they forget you were there. They forget your silence, sleepless nights, and effort. This is the loneliness of being always reachable. Over time, you notice a pattern. The more you reply, the more expected it becomes. The more available you are, the less special your time feels. You feel like a machine reacting, explaining, trying to keep up, trying to be everywhere but empty, because all this connection drains your soul. Worth tied to how fast you respond, how often you check in, how much you show up. That's not love, that's pressure. It leaves no space for peace. People look at you differently when you're always around. You stop being admired and become assumed. Your value fades. The more you offer, the less they ask how you feel. You've made yourself too easy, given too much, and they no longer see the difference between real care and convenience. Always connected, you stop protecting your space. When space isn't protected, anyone can enter those with bad intentions. No respect, only there to take. You may not notice at first, but your peace disappears. Your mind becomes loud, your heart heavy. You feel tired. It's not from doing too much that you feel exhausted. It's from giving too much of yourself to people who don't give back. That is the illusion of constant connection. It looks full, but it feels empty. It looks active, but it feels ignored. It looks busy, but it feels lonely. You are not meant to be available to everyone all the time. That is not strength. That is slow self-destruction. It's a life where your value becomes tied to how others use you, not how you honor yourself. Then that is not the life you are meant to live. Your presence is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your attention is sacred. And it should go only where it's respected, not just where it's expected. Being harder to reach doesn't make you distant, makes you powerful. It gives you the space to choose who belongs in your life. It gives you time to hear your own thoughts, understand your own dreams, listen to your own voice. It reminds people that your presence is not guaranteed, is earned. It teaches others you are not just a message, a call, or a service. You are a person with boundaries, a person with a soul, a person who deserves rest. The illusion of constant connection makes you think being present for others brings peace. But true peace doesn't come from being reachable. It comes from being respected, understood, and valued not for how much you give, but for who you are. And when you start stepping back from constant connection, you begin to feel that peace. You see who checks in when you're silent, who listens when you speak gently, who stays when you stop overgiving. You find strength in silence, peace in absence, and power in the decision to stop being everywhere. That is when real connection begins, not through endless talking, constant updates, or notifications, but through mutual respect, shared silence, and chosen presence. You don't need to explain why you need space. You don't need to apologize for not replying instantly. You don't need guilt for turning off your phone, stepping away, or protecting your soul. You are not a signal. You are not a service. You are human, and you deserve to disconnect in order to heal. If you've ever felt exhausted from always being reachable, know this: you are not weak. You are waking up to the truth. Not everyone should have access to your energy, interrupt your peace, or demand your immediate attention. You do not owe anyone what costs your soul. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I'm not easy to reach. I'm hard to forget. Number 2, how availability dilutes respect. Respect is something we all want, but few understand its source. It doesn't come from being nice all the time. It doesn't come from saying yes to everything. And it definitely doesn't come from being available whenever someone calls your name. The more available you are, the less people value your time. The more present you are, the more easily people take you for granted. It's not because you aren't worthy, it's how human nature works. We respect what we have to earn, treasure what we cannot always reach, and appreciate what comes with boundaries. When you're always available, people stop noticing your effort. They forget your time is a gift. They start assuming your energy is theirs. Once they believe that, gratitude disappears. They stop checking in. They stop respecting the weight you carry. Your presence becomes expected, not honored. and little by little, your value fades. Think about someone who always answers their phone, cancels plans, makes space even when tired. At first, people call it love, loyalty, or dedication. Over time, it becomes invisible. People stop noticing the cost, the sacrifice, the effort, and in that silence, respect disappears. What is always there stops feeling special. It becomes background noise, routine, and nothing kills respect faster than routine. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can you become who you truly are if you're always busy being what everyone else needs? If you're always available, you never hear yourself. You never build your dreams. You spend life answering calls that don't feed your spirit, giving pieces of yourself to people who don't pause to ask how you feel. In the end, you wonder why no one sees your worth. How can they, when you've trained them to think your time belongs to them? Respect comes from space, from limits. Respect grows in the silence between moments. When someone can't reach you immediately, they think, they reflect, they notice what your presence truly means. They ask if they've taken you for granted. They wonder if they've earned the right to call, text, or ask from you. That pause builds respect. It reminds them you are not a machine. You are a person with needs, a life, and your own path. Always being there makes people lazy. They don't thank you. They don't show care. They just reach for you as if you're a tool, not a soul. And when that happens, something inside you dies. Your joy fades. Your energy drains. Your spirit dims. Because no matter how strong you are, being constantly used without appreciation breaks the human heart. It leaves you small, invisible, wondering if anyone sees you're only what you do for them. But the moment you stop being so available, everything shifts. Stop replying instantly, and people notice your absence. Stop saying yes so easily, and people think before asking. Step back, and people confront what they've taken for granted. Respect returns because people see you cannot be treated like an object. They understand your time isn't free, your energy isn't unlimited, and your presence is not guaranteed. You teach people how to treat you. Every time you answer when exhausted, put their needs above your peace. You teach that your boundaries don't matter. That's the story they believe. Till you stop, until you draw the line. Say no without guilt. Then everything changes. People get uncomfortable. Some get angry. Some disappear. But the ones who adjust, respect, and stays, that's who belongs in your life. Being less available isn't selfish. It's awareness. Awareness of your value, your needs, your right to choose where your energy goes. It shows you're not afraid to be missed, not afraid to be alone, not here to be everyone's savior at the cost of your soul. It shows you're growing, standing in your worth. You're not less kind or loving because you protect your time. You're not less good because you said no. You're just done being drained, done being taken lightly, ready to be respected for who you are, not just what you offer. That is the start of a new story, one where your presence is no longer a default, where your value is felt in your silence, where people look for your light because they know it's rare. You were never meant to be always reachable, never meant to always say yes, never meant to give until nothing is left. You were meant to be whole, wise, and respected, not for being constantly present, but for being powerfully selective with your time. If you're tired of feeling invisible, start by being less available. Want more respect? Stop giving access to everyone. Let people earn your presence. Let them work to stay in your life. Let them see your time isn't open to just anyone. Watch how fast respect returns. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My time is rare. My respect is earned. Number 3, the slow death of self through overexposure. When you give too much to the world, something inside starts to break. It doesn't happen all at once. It's quiet, slow, but it's real. Every time you let someone into your world without thinking, a part of you becomes smaller. Every time you explain your pain to someone who doesn't care, your voice feels weaker. Every time you open your heart in places that don't deserve it, your soul grows more tired. You keep showing up. You keep talking. You keep sharing, but inside, you begin to disappear. Overexposure happens when you give away your truth without boundaries, when your thoughts are always on display, when people know everything about you before you even understand it yourself, when your heart is constantly seen but never truly understood. You speak so often that your silence loses its value. You post so much that your presence becomes noise. You talk to everyone, but nobody really knows you. And the worst part, you start to feel like no one because you've handed out pieces of yourself like they're free, and now you don't know what's left to protect. Carl Jung said, the more the unconscious is avoided, the more it influences our lives. When you're always exposing yourself to others, you lose touch with your inner world. You stop listening to your quiet voice. You forget how to feel without performing. You stop asking what you want, what you need, and only ask what others want to hear from you. Little by little, you become a mirror for their approval. You become a version of yourself that exists only for validation. And the real youth, the one who needs stillness and reflection, begins to vanish. Overexposure destroys the mystery that makes you powerful. When people know too much, curiosity dies. When you give everything too soon, they don't need to explore deeper. They make quick judgments. They label you. They define you by pieces of truth they didn't earn. And those labels stick, even if they're wrong, even if they don't reflect your growth. Because once overexposed, people think they've seen it all. And when they think they've seen everything, they stop looking. They stop wondering. They stop caring. That's how you lose yourself in their shallow version of you. When you're always reachable, always explaining, always visible, people stop seeing you as someone to protect. They see you as someone to use. You become the person they vent to, the one they call when bored, the one they ask for advice but never listen to. You become a background character in their story. You don't realize it at first. You think you're helping. You think you're being kind. But your soul is quietly being drained. You start to feel lonely in all your conversations. You feel unseen, even surrounded by people. You can't grow when everyone has access, to your inner life. You can't heal when your pain is always open to opinions. You can't build confidence when your every move is up for judgment. Sometimes silence is the only way to return home to yourself. Sometimes disappearing is the most honest way to reconnect with your truth. When you talk too much about struggles, people see weakness. When you share every win, people stop celebrating. When you always let people in, they stop knocking. And in all that, you slowly lose your sense of self-worth. There is strength in privacy. There is power in keeping some things sacred. Your dreams, thoughts, fears, healing, they deserve protection. They aren't content for the world to consume. When you overexpose yourself, you invite opinions that don't belong. You let others shape your story with their limited understanding. You allow them to define your worth through broken lenses. And if you're not careful, you start believing it. You start molding yourself into what they expect. Before long, you can't find your true self. The death of self isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's losing trust in your own voice, second-guessing choices, changing your mind because of what someone else might say. You're alive, but disconnected, breathing, but lost, talking, but unheard. And it all started by giving too much too fast to people who never valued it. You deserve to be known deeply, not widely. Heard by those who care, not gossip. Understood, not judged. You deserve space where you don't have to explain yourself. Where your silence is respected. Where your presence doesn't have to be loud to matter. That space begins with you. It starts with protecting your inner world, saying no to constant exposure, stepping back from noise and returning to stillness where your real self lives. You don't owe explanations. You don't need to update everyone on your journey. You don't need to be present where your value isn't seen. You are allowed to grow in silence, to keep some things private, to remain a mystery. Mystery isn't hiding its protection. It's remembering your soul isn't for sale. Your worth isn't measured by how many see you, but by how deeply you know yourself. If you feel lost, invisible, like a stranger to yourself, ask, have I been giving too much of my truth to a world that doesn't understand? Have I been overexposed? Is it time to go quiet again? Not because you're weak, but because you need space to center, to rebuild, to honor your sacred voice. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my peace. I honor my silence. I return to myself. Number 4, the power of being missed. There's something powerful about not being around all the time. When people don't see you often, they feel your absence. They think about you, the things you used to say, the way you made them feel, the silence you left behind. This isn't about playing games or forcing people to chase you. It's about understanding your worth. When you're always there, people stop noticing your value. Step away, and something shifts. They remember you with more respect. They feel the space you used to fill. That space becomes a mirror, showing them how much they've taken for granted. Being missed isn't about being loved by everyone. It's about being remembered by the right ones. When you create space, others notice what they had. They have time to reflect, to sit in silence, to feel life without your presence. And in that silence, truth speaks louder than words. Some feel guilty, some feel empty. Some realize the weight of your kindness, effort, energy. That realization doesn't come when you're always around. It comes when you're gone. Carl Jung said, "Solitude is not absence of love, but its complement." Stepping back isn't rejection. It's deeper awareness. Love, respect, value, they grow in reflection. They grow when someone isn't in front of you, yet their presence is still felt in thoughts. That's the power of being missed. It brings clarity, opens eyes, surfaces emotions buried under comfort and routine. People don't remember noise, they remember impact. Sometimes your biggest impact comes after you go quiet. Stop messaging first. Stop fixing everything. Stop making all the effort. Then people face what they've lost. Some won't care, but some will. Those are the ones who matter. They'll reach out, change, step forward. Not because you begged, but because your absence showed them what your presence truly meant. You teach people how to value you by removing yourself. Always staying after being disrespected teaches them you don't need respect. Always showing up for those who never show up teaches them you don't need balance. Responding instantly to everyone teaches them your time isn't special. Step back, and a new lesson emerges. I am not a background option. I am not here to be used. I am not available to those who don't value me. That message is powerful and it needs no words. People will notice. Some will think you're angry, cold, or unkind. That's okay. You're not here to explain your peace. You're here to protect it. And peace needs space. Peace needs silence. Peace needs time away from chaos. By giving yourself that space, you begin to heal. You begin to find strength in being alone. And the more comfortable you become with solitude, the less you fear walking away. That's when people begin to respect you, because now they know they can't just reach for you anytime they want. They have to earn that right. Being missed doesn't mean disappearing forever. It means choosing presence wisely. It means not wasting your energy on places where it isn't appreciated. It means giving people the gift of your absence so they can finally see your true worth. And when they do, their behavior changes. They become more present, more thoughtful, more grateful, because they now know they don't want to feel that empty space again. There's beauty in being missed. It means you mattered. It means your energy left a mark. It means you weren't just filling time, you were making a difference. And that is something you should protect. If your presence carries power, don't hand it out carelessly. Don't let it be consumed without appreciation. Hold it close. Give it to those who honor it. Let your absence be a reminder that you are not just someone they can't just replace you. Overexposure makes people blind to your value. Distance clears their vision. In that space, the truth appears. If they care, they'll come back with more respect. If they don't, they were never meant to stay. Either way, your silence will speak. It separates the real from the fake, the grateful from the greedy, the loyal from the temporary. And you will finally see who was walking with you, not just walking near you. You are not less kind because you choose distance. You are not less loving because you want peace. You are not cruel for creating boundaries. You are growing. You are healing. You are becoming whole again. And in that process, some people will miss you, some will understand, some will change. That's the reward of choosing yourself. You no longer wait to be valued. You give yourself value first. And when people miss you, they miss someone who respects themselves. That is something no one can fake. Don't be afraid to be missed. Don't rush to fill every gap. Don't fear what others will think if you stop showing up all the time. Trust that your presence is strong enough to leave a memory. Trust that your silence will be felt more than your words ever were. Trust that the right people will feel your absence and grow because of it. You are not a shadow. You are the sun. When you walk away, the cold is noticed. When you're gone, the world feels a little different. That is the kind of impact your spirit holds. Protect it. Trust it. Let it be missed not because you vanished, but because you finally chose yourself. Number 5. When you stop giving, you see who was just taking. Some truths only appear when you stop giving. As long as you are always helping, listening, calling, supporting, fixing, and making time, you can't see who is staying only for their benefit. But the moment you pause, the moment you stop reaching out first, the moment you let silence sit between you and them, you finally see who is just taking from you. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's just real. When you stop feeding someone's needs, their true intentions begin to surface, and often, it's not what you hoped for. People reveal themselves in your silence. They show their truth when they no longer have something to gain. When you no longer constantly give your energy, attention, and time, some people vanish. Not because you did something wrong or because you changed, but because they were never there for you. They were there for what you provided. That is a painful truth, especially if you loved, supported, and stood by them. But that truth is also freedom. It clears the fog and shows you who genuinely values you, not just your usefulness. Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." Some will keep taking from others so they never have to give to themselves. They use your light because they've never built their own. They come to you with their problems, but disappear when it's your turn to speak. They love what you do, not who you are. As long as you keep giving, they remain comfortable in that pattern. But when you stop, the system breaks. The silence shows what words never could. There are people who only call when they need something. People who only come close when they're hurting. People who only say, "I miss you," when life is falling apart. But where are they when you need support? When you're quiet, hurting, or tired? If someone disappears the moment you stop giving, they were never holding your hand, they were holding your help. There's a big difference. The only way to see it is to stop offering everything all the time. You don't need to fight. You don't need to argue. You don't need to post quotes or send long explanations. Just stop. Stop calling. Stop checking in. Stop giving energy where it isn't returned. And then observe. Watch who still shows up. Watch who asks how you're doing. Watch who gives without being prompted. That is the truth. And while it may hurt at first, it's deeply healing because you're no longer blind to who is draining your spirit. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop chasing people who don't see your worth. When you stop giving to the wrong people, your heart begins to breathe. Your mind becomes clearer. Your days feel lighter because you no longer carry emotional debt. You no longer pour into cups that never poured into you. You no longer try to prove your value. And that's the shift that changes everything. You don't need to convince anyone to love, respect, or stay loyal to you. The right ones already will, and they don't need anything from you to do it. People who truly care won't disappear when you stop giving. They'll notice the shift. They'll ask if you're okay. They'll offer time and comfort, not take more. You won't need to be useful. You can just be, and that's enough. That connection is rare, but you won't find it if your life is crowded with people who only stay when your hands are full. Sometimes takers don't even realize it. They've grown used to your kindness. You've been their comfort, emotional sponge, free therapy. But when you step back, they face the empty space where your giving used to be. They either grow or go. If they grow, they learn balance. If they go, let them. Someone who leaves when you stop giving was never there for you to begin with. You weren't created to be a lifeline for those who never throw one back. You weren't born to give endlessly to people who only take. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to be poured into. You are allowed to stop giving when you feel drained. You are allowed to protect your peace from those who confuse kindness with weakness. It's not selfish to stop giving itself. It's a boundary. It saves your spirit from being used by people who don't even say thank you. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to explain. Just take a step back and let the truth show itself. Let people reveal who they are when they no longer have access to what you always gave freely. Your energy isn't endless. Your love isn't cheap. Your time isn't to be wasted. You are valuable. Those who deserve to be close will understand they don't need constant giving to stay. They stay because they see your soul, not your service. When you stop giving, you see who's loyal. You see who was only there for convenience. You see who deserves your return. And most importantly, you begin giving to yourself again. You start healing the parts stretched thin for others. You begin to feel whole in your own company. You remember what it feels like to rest. You no longer crave attention from those who only cared when you were useful. Number 6. Silence makes you mysterious, and mystery builds respect. When you're always talking, posting, explaining yourself, people feel like they already know everything. And when people feel like they know everything, they stop paying attention. But when you become silent, when you speak less, share less, show less, something powerful happens. You become mysterious. People start to wonder what's on your mind. They start to question what you're thinking, what you're planning, what's going on in your world. That mystery creates space, and in that space, respect grows. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But before people accept you, they first need to notice you." And silence makes people notice. In a noisy world, where everyone is constantly trying to be seen and heard, the one who is calm and silent stands out. They feel different. Their presence is felt even when they're not speaking. That quiet confidence is rare, and rare things are respected. Think about it. When someone always speaks their mind, you begin to predict what they'll say. When they post every detail of their life, you stop being curious. When they explain themselves constantly, their words start to lose weight. But someone who speaks carefully, shows less, stays calm and distant, that person becomes harder to read. And what we can't easily read, we respect more. We lean in. We wonder. We remember mystery is not manipulation. It's restraint. It's the strength to hold your energy back. It's the discipline to not react to every little thing. It's the wisdom to know that not everyone deserves full access to your thoughts, emotions, and life. You don't owe the world an explanation for everything you do. You don't have to tell people your next move, your feelings, or your struggles. Sometimes keeping things to yourself isn't hiding. It's healing. It's choosing peace over performance. People talk too much when they're unsure of themselves. They look for validation. But the person who is grounded, who knows who they are, doesn't need to be loud. Their silence speaks. Their calmness becomes a mystery. Their energy pulls people in, not by force, but by presence. Have you ever met someone who didn't say much, but when they did, everyone listened? That's not an accident. That's power. That's the result of saying only what matters. That's what happens when you protect your words and emotions. People start to value what you say more because you don't waste words. You don't give away your thoughts freely, and that creates respect. It creates weight. There's something about not knowing everything that makes us value it more. When people can't read you like a book, they slow down. They watch more carefully. They listen more closely. They stop assuming things. They stop taking you for granted. That's the power of being unpredictable. That's the strength of being calm. That's the beauty of being quiet. People reveal their weaknesses when they speak too soon. They give away their fears. They show their insecurities. But the silent person stays protected. No one knows what triggers them. No one knows what makes them weak. They keep their emotions guarded, and that protection becomes power. Because when people can't predict you, they can't control you. We live in a world that pushes you to be loud. Social media, group chats, endless small talk, it all demands constant performance. But when you break that pattern and choose silence, you create your own space. You step back. You stop dancing for attention. You stop feeding the noise. And in that stillness, you gain something far more valuable than attention. You gain presence. Your silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you don't need to say everything. It means you are saving your energy for moments that matter. It means you are becoming more in control of your life. And that control makes people notice. They see you differently. They start to wonder what's going on inside your head. They treat you with more care because mystery demands respect. Think of someone you deeply admire. Chances are they don't talk all the time. They carry themselves with quiet confidence. They don't rush to speak, but when they do, their words land. They're not the loudest in the room, but they're the most respected. That's what you become when you choose silence over noise. You become someone people don't just hear. You become someone they remember. When you're always available, always speaking, always reacting, people get used to you. But when you pull back, when you stay quiet and let your actions speak, people can't figure you out, and that's a good thing, because what people can't figure out, they can't use. What they don't understand, they don't take lightly, and what feels rare is always respected more than what feels common. The truth is, mystery protects your spirit. It protects your energy. It keeps your emotions from being dragged into useless conversations and fake attention. When you're mysterious, you no longer feel the pressure to prove yourself. You no longer feel the need to explain your choices. You no longer fear being misunderstood, because now you understand yourself. And that's enough. People might say you've changed. They might think you're cold or distant. That's okay. Let them wonder. You don't have to defend your silence. You don't have to explain your calmness. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them feel the absence of your energy. What they feel is not rejection, it's your transformation. You're no longer giving yourself away for cheap. You've become a mystery, and that mystery has made you powerful. Silence is a statement, and sometimes it says more than any speech ever could. It says, I know my worth. I don't need attention. I don't need approval. I am not here to entertain anyone. That message is louder than words. It leaves a mark. You don't have to shout to be strong. You don't have to explain to be understood. You don't have to be seen all the time to be respected. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear for a while. Speak less and let your presence become a mystery, because in that mystery, people finally begin to see your true value. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence speaks louder than noise. My presence creates mystery. In the teachings of the Stoics, silence is not weakness. It is strength, restraint, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. That includes how much we give of ourselves, our time, energy, and emotions to people who never earned it. The truth is, when you're too easy to reach, you lose control over your peace. You become emotionally available to chaos, and slowly, without even noticing, you stop belonging to yourself. Stoicism teaches us to stay centered within, to protect our emotions from being tossed around by every passing opinion, drama, or demand. It teaches us to detach not from love, but from dependency, not from people, but from the need to be constantly needed. The less noise you allow into your soul, the more space you create for clarity. In that space, you can reflect, you can grow, you can return to who you really are without masks, without noise, without trying to be understood all the time. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you win. Every time you walk away, instead of explaining yourself, you win. Every time you stop giving your energy to those who never reciprocate it, you win. The Stoic man or woman does not chase attention. They don't beg to be understood. They don't seek validation through availability. They stand firm, calm, grounded. And that's why they are respected, because their silence is not confusion. It is power. You don't have to disappear from life, but you do have to pull your energy back into your hands. Give it only where it grows. Share it only where it's safe. And remember, not everyone deserves access to your heart, especially those who only value you when you're convenient. Let silence build your strength. Let distance reveal your worth. Let restraint become your new way of living. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. In silence, I rise. In distance, I am respected. Like this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share it with someone who needs this message. And subscribe for more content rooted in depth, strength, and the truth of human nature. Don't just watch, live it.